Yeah.
I can check. I think it's open.
I think it is.
We don't have items not on the agenda.
Okay. Everybody ready? I know it's working. Excellent day. Welcome, everybody. It's 4:30. This is our first special meeting in a long time. And it's required. So, jump to call to session. Roll call, please.
Okay. Councilmember Narenheim,
Here.
Councilmember Lowenstein,
Here.
Councilmember Kalujetovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Baji,
Here.
Councilmember Barron,
Here.
Mayor Brandt.
Here. Let's all skip the salute to the flag and any blue folder items, no blue folder items. Consent calendar.
Complaint that there's no audio, by the way.
I believe
No
there was a
idea.
blue folder item, right, Laura?
I think we had one, Laura.
Can we wait a second? What's going on?
Could be one. Yeah, there's one.
You skipped blue folder, there it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
there is a blue
Yeah,
folder.
we had a
Excuse
grammatical,
me.
we had a typo in
So,
the agreement that was correct.
Yeah.
Motion
Blue folder,
approved.
motion. Is
Motion
there a
approved.
Second.
Second, okay, any objections?
Okay, so we have audio, correct? Or, because I have not heard anything that we're out of audio, so we're good? Okay. Okay,
Looks
okay.
good on our end. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the item for blue folder item is G1, revised agreement due to grammatical error, no change to terms relating to drone show on the 4th of July, for the 4th of
Okay,
July.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Obaji made the motion and Councilmember Narenheim seconded? Is that close enough? Okay, any objections? Okay, so ordered. Next is items for discussion prior to action. Discussion possible action regarding a drone show over the Redondo Beach waterfront to be provided on the 4th of July.
Mayor, did we, yeah, affidavit of posting, we need to approve that.
Oh, God, skipping around all over the place. Okay, sorry, consent calendar, item 1, EI, improvement of affidavit of posting for the city council special meeting, June 29th. Any, I don't suppose anybody wants to pull that item. Is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
Okay. Okay, motion by Councilmember Narenheim, second by Councilmember Lowenstein. Any objection? Okay, so ordered. Item F, there are no excluded consent calendar items. Item G, item for discussion prior to action. Discussion and possible action of what I previously read. But Luke, I think you have a presentation for us?
Yes, he does. I'm going to give a little quick intro, Mayor, if I could. I want to start by saying thank you to everybody that's in the audience here today. Pat Butler, Michelle Pinedo from our Community Services Department, Luke Smoody, and Elizabeth House. After our discussion on the 20th, where we regrettably had to announce the cancellation of the fireworks, we've been busy working to find enhancements to the activity at the Seaside Lagoon, as well as perhaps anything else that might occur on the July 4th holiday that might be of interest to the community from an entertainment standpoint. And the other thing we spent a lot of time focusing on is getting the word out that the fireworks had indeed been canceled.
Still no audio.
Still no audio. Doug?
Audio on Zoom, on camera.
How about on YouTube?
Yes.
On Zoom.
He's on, Cameron's on Zoom?
Yeah, he said there's no audio.
It's on YouTube. Maybe it's Zoom.
Might just be Zoom audio. Doug?
The first minute was on.
Hey, Mike, is this some sort of Brown Act violation if we don't have audio?
No.
Depends on if we don't have any.
If we're on YouTube, yeah, as long as we can confirm we're on one. We'll pause that thought.
Hang on, let me ask.
It's on YouTube.
It's up on both now?
It's on
The first minute was.
Are you happy, Todd?
Zoom.
Yeah,
Is it up on both?
it's up on both
Is it up on both, Tom? He
They
says it's
said
not.
Zoom. They said Zoom.
He says it's up on both, B-O-T-H, both.
Yeah.
Not boat.
Is it on both? Councilmember Lowenstein?
Good question. I don't know.
Oh,
They were just watching it on Zoom.
well, our tech guy says it is.
Okay.
I see Brandy's texting me here. Oh, Brandy's saying this was at 4:35. There's audio on the Granicus feed. Michelle, can you ask Cameron if you can hear it now on Zoom?
Can you turn on Zoom?
Suppose if we're not talking, they're not going to hear us, though.
That's true. I'll sing. I'll hum while we wait.
Should we do the Pledge of Allegiance now?
That's world events.
loop.
I don't know.
Audio okay
So
on
learn how
city
to sign
site and live
language.
streaming. So I don't know whose doesn't have audio, but it seems like on the city site and YouTube, it works.
Okay, let's just go then.
Yeah.
That shouldn't violate the Brown Act.
No, I think
It's two
we're okay.
places you can see it.
Yeah, I got confirmation.
Okay, we'll go ahead then.
Okay. All right, well, let's keep rolling. So big thank you to the group. We were spending a significant amount of time getting the word out that the fireworks cancellation had occurred. And one particular interview bore some fruit for us. Pat did an interview with KNX Radio on Monday that was picked up by the vendor, Sky Elements, who we're dealing with tonight, who cold called and reached out to us on Tuesday to discuss and present an opportunity potentially for the drone show consideration, which is really the subject of tonight's special meeting. Thank you, Mayor, for calling the meeting together. Obviously, we had no regularly scheduled meeting between now and the July 4th holiday. This was the only way for us to formally approve an agreement with this vendor, given its amount and the nature and scope of work. So big thank you to all the team that's been working on this. We do have some exciting updates to the 4th of July holiday celebration that we'll provide. And with that, Luke, please take it away.
And I did confirm it's on both the city site and as well as our TV, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Like Mike mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about 4th of July festivities that are planned and then go into some more detail on the potential agreement with Sky Elements for a drone show for July 4th. And so, as Mike mentioned, the community services team worked really hard on the program at Seaside Lagoon, which will be running from 10 a.m. to 5:45, which are normal operating hours. And they were able to pull together over the last week or so. They're going to have a live DJ, Hawaiian shaved ice, a face painter, photo booth, and they've gotten some lawn games that they're going to be able to check out for families. So throughout the day, we're expecting some good activity down there. It will be normal entrance fees, so $8 for adults, $6, 3 to 17, and then 2 and under are free. So that's going to be going on there, all those activities inside the lagoon. And then also there will be in the Beach Life building a pop-up restaurant concept. I don't know the details of what that concept will be, but because it's curated by our newly minted Person of the Year, I assume it will be pretty cool. And so that's going to be something that, although it's outside of Seaside Lagoon, people will be allowed to exit and re-enter as opposed to a normal day where there might not be re-entry. We'll be allowing folks to go in and out. So we're expecting Seaside Lagoon to be have a lot of activities, be fun for folks. And then Chief Butler, with his ties to the aeronautical community, was able to get 2 historic flyovers scheduled. One from the Tiger Squadron, which is pictured above. They fly some World War II airplanes, Chinese and Russian models, and then also the Condor Squadron, which is that lower picture. And both of those will be having a flight path that goes around the city from Anderson Park, over King Harbor and Veterans Park, and then also to Alta Vista Park and over Franklin Park. So it'll do a nice loop around. And so that Tiger Squadron will be launching around 4:45. Doing their loop around the city, and then half hour behind that Condor Squadron will be going there. So we expect this to be pretty entertaining and impactful for folks that are around, and it won't just be for people at Seaside Lagoon. It'll be throughout the city. If they're gathered at parks in their homes, it's something that they can go outside and take a look at. And so kind of tying it in with the end of festivities at Seaside Lagoon. But as Chief Butler said, the sounds of freedom will be echoing throughout the city during there. I guess they make a pretty good racket, and so we're hoping that that's going to be fun for the people. And then for evening entertainment, obviously, we've gone over how fireworks were canceled. And then Mike mentioned how after his KNX 1070 interview, Chief Butler was contacted by Sky Elements, which is a Texas-based drone company. And they were looking to partner with the city. They had availability, they had resources in the area, and just basically said like, hey, would you be interested in something like, in doing a show? We know you have a void for fireworks. And so we were contacted them just on Tuesday. And so worked with them over the last couple of days pretty closely to bring the proposed contract that's before you today. And so in talking to them, we really wanted to find something that would, it's going to be different than fireworks, but we wanted something to be impactful. And so initially we talked about a 100 drone show. And the problem with that, as we'll get into a little later, is it's sort of two-dimensional. And so if you're not looking directly at it, you're just going to be seeing a line. And so we wanted something that had a little more impact, perhaps a little wider viewing area. And so what we came to with them was a proposed 200 drone production with a patriotic theme, 9-minute run time, and then it'll have music that's broadcast either by radio or YouTube stream, and we'll release those details as if things get finalized. And so I have a little video of what a 200 drone show would look like. This is not a patriotic theme, but what I wanted to show here with this video is just that, it's 3D elements. It's viewable from multiple angles. As you can see, this is a Star Wars show that took place at the Oakland Coliseum. And so it's got a lot of elements where people are seeing it from different angles. And you can kind of picture being, from Portofino to Veterans Park is our proposed viewing area. And so you could see that even though you weren't straight on, you'd still be getting some of these 3D elements and seeing some different angles of it, as opposed to just seeing, if it was text or a two-dimensional image, you would just see the one side. So we'll let
This is
play
before
here.
the A's announced that they were moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that.
this is in better days for the Oakland Coliseum.
How much does a drone show like that cost?
So this was a 200 drone show as well. And so the proposed contract is for a $65,000 not to exceed amount for the production on July 4th. And as you can see, there's multiple elements, 3D elements. And so it's just something that I think, it is more expensive than the 100 drone show, but will have greater impact.
I don't believe though, Luke, we know what Oakland paid for this particular show, correct? It's we did
don't-
receive discount pricing for our show.
Yeah, and we shared this because it's a 200 drone show, and so wanted to have the elements that were similar. And so kind of as I discussed, that yellow swath there is sort of what the proposed viewing area was if we went with a 100 drone show. That would be more two-dimensional elements, where when we kind of told him, well, we're not going to have one focused area. We typically have people spread throughout the waterfront, and targeting that Portofino Hotel to Veterans Park. That the 3D with the 200 drone image was something that we were really hoping would have more impact there. And obviously, it's a different experience. There's a 400-foot cap on the altitude that the drones can go to, so it's not going to be way up like a firework is. So if you're behind a building, you could be obscured. But if you're in Zoolager Park, Veterans Park, off of Moldy and beyond, we're hoping that it'll have good visibility there.
That might help with the marine layer, because that's the thing I was worried about, is like, can't see fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be some confidence that even with some level of rain layer, this will be a successful show at these distances. But the point here clearly is if you were to draw a grid or a radius for a fireworks display, that it would be much farther. I mean, the one struggle with the drone show that, we have to acknowledge is it is a more limited radius from a viewing standpoint. We talked about maybe pulling the show south to try to bring it out over the water farther so we can incorporate the Esplanade and try to get into the South Redondo area as well. There's not really an effective way to do that with drones, although I do think there's an expectation that they will be visible from farther than this. It's just maybe not exactly what graphically the viewers will be able to see and observe from a greater distance. But if you're inside of this green space, you're gonna get the full show and fully appreciate what's being displayed.
What time does the show start?
So they say 30 minutes after sunset is the optimal. So that puts us between 8:45 and 9. So we've been saying approximately 9. If we want to hammer down a real solid launch time, we can do that and then release it with everything.
I would do that because 9 minutes is a
Yep.
short window, and we don't
Agree.
want people to miss it,
Right.
Yep. So that would be
gonna be like the green
8:38 if it was
flash.
tonight. But
Sunset.
which I've never seen.
Let's not have that. Will there be a music accompanied with the show?
So there is, and they can put it out via radio broadcast or a YouTube stream. And so, again, if approved, we'll finalize the details on that and then release it on the website and then social media channels as well.
Jay?
Yep. In the contract, it says that the indemnification's pretty good, or the hold harmless provision seems pretty good, but it says that there's a secure area. What is this? I didn't get to the part where it says what the secure area is. What is a secure area where we can't let anybody in?
It's a pretty small space. Luke, why don't you go through it?
Yeah, so it's basically straight across from the skate park on Mole D. There's, I think it's about 10 parking spots that will be the actual launch area. And then we'll just cordon off for the duration of the flight of the actual show, that area, make sure there's no people milling about. We'll have Chief Butler's going to have fire staff there, making sure they're there, and then boats in the water to make sure no one's piloting a boat between Mole D and the south seawall there. So that's basically during the active show, there won't be passage through that area, and then also foot traffic on the end of Mole D there.
It'll be clear it'll be on the south west end of Mole D, small kind of quarantine space. We really just have to give them a clear flight path. One of the conditions of their insurance is that they can't fly over people. So that gives them a straight shot out over the water without any real obstruction. And it wouldn't impact the International Boardwalk businesses, R10 or any of those spaces either. So we'll have secure gates up. We'll Public Works will quarantine the space early on. We don't feel too concerned about securing the space.
And I should say, if we had more time, I know,
Well, I think it is on.
yeah, just the light won't go on.
Lights off.
Yeah, so there are terms that I would like to negotiate further. The force majeure is not the way we would have it.
That was what I highlighted also. The parties agree customers' sole remedy in case of a force majeure is to transfer the display date subject to Sky Elements availability.
Yeah, so
We're not, if 4th of July doesn't have it on 4th of July, we're not going to want it, right? Right.
Well, there's previous precedent in the city, but it's not ideal. But it's far better than their standard contract, which was the law of Texas. The completion of their performance was them showing up. Literally, that was in it. And we had a day to negotiate this. And I know the community I wanted to at least give the council and the mayor the option to go forward. So it's not perfect. In terms of we own it in terms of liability if anybody gets into that secure location.
Right.
And so I told Luke to confirm with the two public safety chiefs that they are confident that no one gets in there. So assuming that they're right, then that shouldn't make a difference, but.
We're talking about the area where the drones are going to launch and land.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel it's a small enough area. We feel pretty confident we can secure it safely. We're not overly concerned with it. And yeah, there's some risks here if they were to show up and we have an awful wind event and they can't fly and we can't find an alternative date. We could be out some money.
Right.
We think, given the weather, it could, we could certainly see some rain layer that could obscure the show to a degree. We do typically deal with that with 4th of July fireworks as well. Sometimes it's even worse because those are higher. But we're taking a little bit of risk here. We recognize we're piloting, no pun intended here, this type of an opportunity and program. It's a good opportunity for us to do that. We might not normally choose this route if you were to weigh the two on a cost-effective basis. So it's kind of exciting that the economics suggest that we can try this and experience firsthand the value of this option longer term. And if it were a particularly unusual wind night, we certainly could bring them back and have them piloted another day and just see what the show looks like. I mean, there's no reason we couldn't do that.
And to if I may, to the city manager's point, if we were just trying this on our own, their typical contract, you pay for 2/3 if you have to cancel it for some reason, because there's a cost for them programming the show. We're getting somebody else's pre-programmed show, and because they cancel they're basically paying for 2/3 of the cost of our show. So.
Right.
And it's an opportunity for Sky Elements, I think, to penetrate this market, the municipal market. Obviously, they've done shows for Dodgers. They've done other shows for, professional sports teams, i.e. the A's. So they're well known, but I don't know of a lot of cities that have used them yet. So I see advantage to them. That's why we're also receiving discounted pricing. The original quote, which they told us was significantly reduced, was $40,000 for a 100-drone show. We worked that down to 35 conceptually. And then from there, we pushed and asked for 200 drones, and they came back at 75,000. We worked that down to 65 to stay within budget. So, you might recall former budget response report estimates. We did a staff report on this a couple years ago. The estimate was closer to $100,000 for a 200 drone show. So we feel good about the pricing. I'm not sure long-term if that's sustainable. It may be a larger number in future years if we were to do this again. But, kind of a unique chance for us to contemplate this.
So let me just say, I totally support this, and I appreciate all the work that you've done, especially to get the Seaside Lagoon Party going and to negotiate this contract and get it in, and I'll vote for this. My question now is, relative to the Seaside Lagoon Party, ends at 5:45. And so you're planning on essentially ousting all those people from the Seaside Lagoon, which is a prime viewing area, only to have that place totally empty during the drone show, right?
Yeah.
Which basically you're telling people, if you want to come see the show, come park in the parking lot there with cars potentially going in and out and the like, but stand outside your car and watch the show?
Yeah, I think the ultimate viewing platform will be the pier, Zuliger Park, Veterans Park, Harbor Drive. What we typically experience when we do have fireworks, people are literally parked in the street, stopping and watching the show, stepping out of their car. I don't know if we'll see that again. I too, question the closure of the lagoon. It is due to a staffing issue. If we keep the lagoon open for the additional 3 hours, we have to maintain lifeguard safety because we still have the swimming element that's there. It does get cold. Patrons don't typically stick around when it gets cool. So 5:45 is our normal closure time. It does, in a way, also alleviate perhaps some of the exiting that occurs. So we're kind of staggering these activities. So you got different kind of celebrations occurring here. So there's pros and cons to it. In an ideal world, what we do is we reopen the lagoon at 8:45, let people stand around and watch the show from inside the lagoon and babysit the water feature for a little while. We may still do that. We're just not yet staffed for that. So we may work on that if there's capacity.
Last year, didn't we open the lagoon for the fireworks show? Or no, we didn't. We closed it off because the fireworks
We
show
have
was
to
gonna be
for
over the
fallout
lagoon.
zone.
Okay,
So the
great.
lagoon is not typically open. Years ago, we used to have the coordinated effort inside the lagoon when we had Pete Moffett running the show as a public-private partnership. We actually barged the fireworks deeper, and it was not within the fallout
All
zone.
right, 'cause that just seems like prime viewing area where you just lay out a blanket and sit on it.
It
and
is.
Boom.
We're
done,
going to try to
easy.
find a way to get people back in there. It's just whether or not we can do it safely.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for all that you've done. So,
I kind of had the same thought right away. Why close the Seaside Lagoon? And, just open it for 15 minutes. I mean, it's nice, but if they know there's going to be a drone show, people would like to come in and hang out and, they'd make an event out of it. And so, hey, look, this all happened at the last second. So maybe that's something.
We're going to do the best we can. If we can do
Yeah.
it safely, we'll do it. If we
or maybe
can't,
shutter the Seaside Lagoon earlier, 5 o'clock. That way you save, I don't know.
well, we've got the flyovers that are going to be kind of cool. I mean, they're going
Oh,
to
right,
terminate
okay.
down in the Riviera Village. So, we're going to have an hour worth of, bombers flying the city. It's going to be not
It'd be
bombers.
nice if we could staff the Seaside Lagoon with lifeguards and just keep it open. Because I know families would want to stay there and hang out, watch the flyovers, wait for the drone, and then they'd file out. Like,
It's going to be cold at 5 o'clock.
It's
it
cool.
may or may not be.
People eat at 6,
The kids don't care. So whatever.
We'll
Give us
do
some
what we
thought.
can. If we can get people in there, at least stand around and watch the show, we'll do it. It's just, we got to make sure it's safe. That's it. We got to make sure that water feature doesn't create a problem.
Does the flyover cost anything?
It does. I think it's, Pat, if you want to speak to it. Pat really did the lion's share of the work here. Big credit to him on this. Actually, Todd gave us the idea on the Tiger Squadron, so kudos for him for that. But I think it's a $2,000 donation
Yeah,
for
it's,
one of them and $500 for the other.
No, it's 2,000 for both.
Oh, for
They consume, Patrick Butler, interim fire chief, council members, they consume a fair amount of fuel. They're nonprofits. They have their own clubs, and each squadron, they get $2,000, and they're burning lots of fuel. These are big airplanes, so it's a 2,000 nonprofit. So originally we were just going to have one, but the local one really wanted to participate, and so I kind of took on the additional responsibility of charging the city more money than probably I should have, when I committed to both of them, and so they're 2,000 each. But if you think about time, maintenance, costs and all, they're not charging any of their own flight time, and they have to organize and get FAA approval.
Can I ask that they fly over Perry Park too?
Yeah, so I tell you, they are going to fly the entire, all 5 districts, and I have a route, but I can add more to it.
Yeah, I imagine that Anderson Park is north, and if you're going to go south,
Yeah.
it's an easy scoop by Perry Park to get to.
And I think that's naturally occurring here. I think these were just sort of the triangulation
Okay.
points,
I just put
and it's going to
those
terminate
up.
at the south end of town.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I put those up on a map, on a sectional chart for the pilots, but basically I'll be in radio contact with them and they'll fly wherever. And they know they're all coordinating. So the first group that will come through will be the Tiger Squadron out of Torrance, and the next group will be the Condor Squadron. Condor Squadron is a lot bigger airplane, a lot louder. And like Luke said, there'll be a whole lot of freedom flying over Redondo on the 4th of July, so.
Between 4:45 and 6:30.
Between 4:45 and 5:30. And then one more thing, Mike, if I can add, I lifted the restriction on barbecues at three of the parks, because we have coal receptacles that we could put there. But I also put in there, if there's any general nuisance, public safety nuisance and all that. But generally, when I was asked by Public Works, say, hey, generally for this holiday, we can facilitate barbecues at these 3 and so.
Yeah, and that's something we've been doing. We experience, even when we've maintained the prohibition in the past, we've experienced coal dumps at all these parks. At least with these 3 locations, we can try to centralize that activity. And we used to just do it at Vets. We expanded to Alta Vista and I think Anderson. And so we've got some spread there.
So it's Alta Vista, Anderson, and
Veterans Park, I think it's Anderson, right, Pat? Did you confirm that, or is it Dominguez?
I have it right. Let me get my.
Yeah.
Well, wherever it is, I'll be barbecuing anyway.
Yeah, probably true.
Kind of my concern, and I put a caveat also, it's going to be Veterans, Alta Vista, and Franklin. Are the 3 that we have receptacles for. And there's a caveat here in this ordinance that basically says, if things get unsafe, whatever, that we can cease operations. But the only reason we picked those 3 is because Public Works said those are the only ones they could really support with hot coal receptacles. So hopefully we can get that message out.
Sorry, go.
I was just going to say, I noted last weekend at Franklin, there was some vandalism to the barbecues, and they've been removed from Franklin. So it won't apply there. I think the receptacle is still there. I noticed it had some holes at the bottom. I don't know
Okay.
if that's an issue, but
I'll ask
you can check it out.
Franklin just needs a whole new facelift.
Public Works.
Well, that's now funded, so
That's funded, yeah, exactly.
there's funding for a facelift now.
More than just a facelift.
And then, that's it.
So we have receptacles there that year round though, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think park maintenance is supposed to pull them. They've left them in a couple spots where they continue to see repeat offenders. So it is a bit of a mixed message. The restrictions there, but the coal receptacles there. So I think we've kind of resigned ourselves to, in certain spots, we've left them just because they're burning grass and other things
Safer,
are happening.
right?
It gets to be a little silly at times.
It's our city attorneys.
Clean needles.
If you
for
don't mind,
users.
hey, Red.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Zane, we're not having like an open discussion here, we're one at a time. That's okay, so let Councilmember Nairn finish his discussion.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, if we can, if I may break in, city attorney's smiling because he knows exactly where I'm going with this. The whole Prohibition Act and then removing and then still having it there. I know the reasoning why was, there's a lot of other things happening in years past, but well, it's outside of this discussion. I think we need to
We could revisit the
Revisit
issue.
this.
Yeah, it has a sorted past. My client could provide a lot of information as to what they've experienced over the years, but we could have that discussion at a later council meeting.
Yeah, we can make that part of the motion as well.
I just wanted to make sure that folks that were there there wouldn't be citations, so. And then these were the ones that Public Works recommended, but that's
Question
my
approved.
report.
Yeah, is there,
I'll second that. I got a couple other questions real quick. Can we extend the amount of time that these drones are in the air?
So we talked to them about that. They can do the show, they can extend the duration of the show, but what they've experienced in their past is people get a little antsy to see the imagery change. So you're kind of staring at the same image sort of over for a longer period of time. So they view 9 minutes as kind of the optimal amount of time. I don't know, Luke, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I'd say you described it well. It's the same program, just, with greater time spent on each little vignette. And so, yeah, people kind of get a little antsy and can't go much over 12 minutes just because of battery life and reliability issues with the drones as they extend past that. So, that 9 minute was described to us as a sweet spot by Sky Elements.
Okay. Our businesses are not gonna chip in for any of this, any of the events down there, not gonna, maybe a few bucks? Like King Harbor Association, did they have any input with this?
We've just been scrambling to make this happen within existing budget. So to our knowledge, no. I suspect they will all benefit though from the little bit of recovery here we're providing.
Okay. What is the addendums you would like from the force majeure portion of this contract? Because I agree. Is there anything you want to further kind of talk about, maybe add in here that we only want?
I wouldn't change it now just
Okay.
because it's an urgent matter, and what's going to happen, it's either going to happen or it's not.
Okay.
And basically, we'll have another date where we can use it. They use the word impractical. Well, that's not what force majeure is,
Right.
and we have a recent case from last month. If it costs more, it doesn't mean it's impractical, even in the COVID. So I would recommend it as is, other than the typo that Councilman Barrett caught. That was in the change that they made in the last minute. So this, I think, protects the city, other than the business decision of, okay, we could lose 20,000
Yeah.
If we can't find an alternative.
if it's, yes, exactly.
Okay. If the motion maker would kindly approve maybe an addendum to add a revisit to the barbecue ordinance for the 4th of July in the parks, and we can,
Yeah, I'm not certain that's within a drone show, and there isn't a referral to staff, but if you could, on the 11th,
okay.
make the referral to staff.
I'll do that, never mind.
right. Okay, you done?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Lowenstein?
Yeah, just one thing. How are we publicizing this?
Well, if this gets approved tonight, we already have a social media clip ready to go. We're gonna hit send on all the traditional channels. We'll get another press release out.
Front page of the website.
We'll do front page of the website. We're not going to be as staffed on that Tuesday night as we normally would be for fireworks. So if at the end of the day, we want to make sure our community is certainly aware of it. We want to get the word out. We want to invite people down to the waterfront. Hopefully the word circulates positively and at that right balance.
I just want to be able to send it out either in an email or Facebook or whatever.
You'll have a social media post you'll be able to link to here fairly shortly.
On which one? The Redondo Beach City?
I think all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Elizabeth's gonna.
Elizabeth's working on all of them.
Maybe
So,
police as well.
got a little clip from one of the patriotic images that they have, so it shows what the drone show looks like. And
Okay, great. That's it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Yeah, okay, well, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Got anything else?
yeah, just, hey, this is fortuitous. Again, grateful for all the hard work of staff to,
thank
get
you.
the word out and spend time with the news media outlets, which is really what led to this opportunity. If we hadn't done that, I'm not sure Sky Elements would have heard of our predicament and offered us this discounted rate. So it's great that we get a chance to demo this at least a slight reduction.
I think it says a lot that you're all here on a Thursday
Yeah.
at 4:30 when you thought you had the time off to make this happen, so.
Yeah, I'm sure all of us have gotten comments about what, no fireworks, and we've had to say no. And people are very, very disappointed, and a lot of people still won't know, and they'll wonder where they are. So as more we can get the word out, the better. And people still won't know. And there still will be crowds at Seaside Lagoon and in and around the pier, so looking for that. So is there any public comment online or?
There are 6 public comments, e-comments for support, and we do have one attendee, Nancy Skiba. If you would like to speak on Zoom, please raise your hand. Nope. No.
Okay.
And then from an operational standpoint, the 2 questions I would have is setting that exact launch time, if we want to say 8:45 or 9 PM, and then also what we want the true focal point to be, because that whole viewing radius, we'll be able to see it, but if we want to just focus at the middle, Zooliger Park is kind of a good midpoint if we want to aim at that, and then have kind of the rest of it see that, or if there's anywhere else you'd like to see targeted, then we can, in the press release and everything, we can reference both of those.
Well, I would
both
highly
those
recommend
sites.
9 PM.
Okay.
Because it's a short show and it normally is 9 PM. So
And it's an easy time to remember.
Yep.
Excellent, thank you, sir.
And what was the other?
Well, if you're comfortable with the general orientation we have, we'll go with that. It's basically, we're trying to capture Veterans Park to Portofino.
Yeah.
If we all
Everybody
think
saw the
that
maps.
works.
Anybody
Yeah.
wanna?
Unless there's any major heartburn to that.
Yeah. Okay. Is setting 9 PM part of the motion then? Is that what-
Yeah, we'll do that. 9 sounds, I think I've got
That'll go out in the press release.
a straw poll on that.
Okay. Any more
We
comment?
have Nancy Skiba. She would like to speak.
Sure. Go ahead, Nancy. Is there a technical malfunction or is?
Nancy?
On either side?
She muted.
Okay. Nancy, you may speak.
Anybody got any advice for her? Maybe
I
she's trying
allowed
to
her to
speak. and-
speak.
Is she muted?
Star 68.
Star 6.
Yeah.
Star what?
Six.
Star 6, isn't it?
Or she's on her
To unmute
computer.
yourself, please put star 6.
She's on Zoom. She might have.
Hi,
a-
good evening.
There
Nancy
she is.
Skiba, District 4. Good evening, Mayor Brand.
Good evening.
Evening. Go ahead. We hear you loud and clear. No, we don't hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
There you go.
There she is.
I'm still having problems with the sound.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Here, you go ahead. I think she said she's still having problems with the sound, so.
Nancy?
Nancy, we hear you. Just go ahead and start speaking. We'll wait.
Good evening, and City Council. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Loud and
Hear me
clear.
now?
Yes.
Well, I wanted to say thank you so much for all your efforts. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Coming on to just thank us.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all your
Yeah, I
efforts.
hope you
We
enjoy
really
the show.
appreciate it. I know people were so hurt and upset, and it's so great.
Hope you enjoy the show. Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second. The
Not working.
roll call vote.
Sorry.
Councilmember Narenheim.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavaliero.
Aye.
Councilmember Baji.
Aye.
And Councilmember Barron.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Anything else? I guess the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any objection? Okay, we're adjourned. Perfect.
Thank you, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, saving.
Thanks.